Morning, Mike. I'm not working from home. Sorry, working from home.
Well, technically, you're not actually working yet, because when you do work, you'll be working from here, right?
Yeah, well, I'm one of those rare. You and I are two of those rare people in this country. We actually go to work.
Yes, I mean, very. I mean, I don't think
it's dying out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Well, yeah, a million people self-isolating. I'm pretty sure that most of them haven't actually got COVID, but they might have tested positive, if you know what I mean.
I mean, apart from the people who are swinging the lead, there will be a lot of public sector workers who will take this opportunity to take a few weeks off. The real problem is that loads and loads and loads of completely healthy people are off because they tested positive. So you've got healthy people testing the hell out of themselves every day to check whether they're healthy. In the end, they get 2 lines, 7 days off, and on it goes. And they're not necessarily ill. This is madness.
I know. Well, this is the thing. Also, schools are opening today, right? But they're only opening for the kids to go and get tested. They're not actually opening for them to go to any lessons. So, I mean, you go, so what? Now the school's a testing centre. It's not actually a place of learning.
Yeah, do you know, it's the randomness of it that gets on my wick. You know, the fact that there are so many places where you don't have to wear masks, so many places where they're not mandatory.
Yeah.
So just telling kids they have to wear masks all day in school won't make a blind bit of difference whether or not masks actually work.
No.
But let's give masks the benefit of the doubt, say they do work a bit. It won't make any difference that you take a small section of the community, kids in classrooms, and tell them they have to cover up. It's ridiculous.
Well, you've got to give, surely, and I mean, it may well feature on Plank of the Week this afternoon, the sort of peak COVID madness award to Mark Drakeford in Wales, where he said 40 people can go and watch a rugby match, but if you're in a pub, you can cram 150 in and they can watch it on TV.
Yeah, and if you go to work, you'll find you 60 quid.
Yeah.
Drakeford, Kim Jong Drakeford and Nicola Killjoy, Queen of Scots, are looking ridiculous. They're looking ridiculous. Fair play to Boris. He's stayed strong on this. Because we have to escape the tyranny of the scientists, start governing this country. So Boris has stayed strong and he's been vindicated.
Well, he has, apart from the schools, though, apart from the masks in schools, which he needs to do away with.
But at least we got a semblance of normal life. At least we had a semblance of a normal Christmas and a normal New Year. He flew in the face of what Sage were telling them, and those 2 tin pot dictators in Wales and Scotland just locked their entire nations down for no reason whatsoever. They are crazy.
I mean, I was hoping to avoid coming round to your gaff on New Year's Eve because of COVID restrictions. I was hoping for them to put them on so that I'd be able to cancel coming there and getting a very bad headache the next morning.
Yeah, it would have saved ourselves a lot of pain the following day, that's for damn sure.
Absolutely right. Now, I don't know whether you were lucky enough to witness the great visionary speech made in the last half hour by Sir Keir Boring, because he's got a new vision for Britain. He doesn't seem to be talking to Sadiq Khan, though, because the only bit we heard was that he wants to introduce police hubs to crack down on drug use, right? But Sadiq Khan apparently wants to make it pretty much legal to smoke dope in London.
I know, they're at cross purposes, aren't they? I mean, with Keir Starmer's speech, I mean, that's just what we need at this difficult point in our national history. The opposition leader telling us that what he's going to promise us is security, prosperity and respect. Pathetic political platitudes.
Yes.
Useless. Who needs that kind of nonsense right now? But as you quite rightly say, amid this useless, pointless speech from a leader who's doomed, was this kind of promise to set up police hubs to fight drugs everywhere, to continue the war on drugs. He's on record as saying he does not believe in decriminalising cannabis or any other drugs. Meanwhile, his apparatchik, the Mayor of London, the Labour Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, announces that he's going to decriminalise cannabis use, only in 3 boroughs, but that is the start of a project for London. What's the point? Nobody gets nicked for cannabis anyway.
No. Well, I mean, you can't walk around London without smelling it, can you? I mean, everywhere you go, it seems to be in pretty big supply. And so, if he gives it to 3 boroughs, what's that going to turn sort of Lambeth into Amsterdam or something?
I know, but it won't. It won't make any difference because the police haven't nicked anyone for possessing cannabis for years.
Yes.
This is just Sadiq Khan characteristically virtue signaling about how liberal and forward thinking he is. No reason whatsoever for this. And I would suggest to Mr. Khan there are probably more pressing issues that he ought to deal with on the streets of London, like people getting stabbed to death about once every 20 minutes.
Well, that would be helpful, yeah. Let's talk a bit about Prince Andrew. There's a court hearing this afternoon in the US, I think, in which you might get the result during your show, where basically Andrew's lawyers are going to try and get this case by Giuffre thrown out on the grounds that she signed a confidentiality agreement with Epstein.
Yes, this was a long time ago, and as some people said yesterday, it was so far Andrew's best day in court. There is this agreement that Virginia Giuffre Roberts, as she was during the alleged offences, made with Jeffrey Epstein, and in it is this clause that she excuses Jeffrey Epstein from any action ever again, and also anyone connected or anyone else she might like to accuse. However, there's two things about it. I mean, I've spoken to legal experts on this. We had Lisa Bloomer, American attorney, who's right at the center of this case. She represents 8 of Epstein's victims. She knows what she's talking about. She said this is altogether too vague. She said she's seen this sort of stuff before and it is not going to wash, and other experts have agreed. And actually, if you read the actual clause, there's a technical problem. It refers to only complaints she might have in the present or in the past. It does not refer to any claims she might have in the future, and that the future would be now.
Right, and she doesn't name Andrew, does she? So he's not named in the agreement.
Yeah, and there's also a problem of legality. How can a third party negate anyone ever again being guilty of any sort of crime by some agreement they make with someone else? It doesn't quite wash.
No.
I mean, put it this way. Andrew, he's got his best chance so far of wriggling out of this on a technicality. But the judge in the Giuffre case, Judge Kaplan, has shown no enthusiasm whatsoever for any of Andrew's ploys, which have all revolved around technicalities. You know, at one point, remember, there was the pathetic spectre of a prince of this realm ducking and diving, playing hide and seek behind palace walls so that he wouldn't be served. And Kaplan said, stop this nonsense and face up to this case like a man.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, people say, well, you know, judge him when he's in a court of law. You can't say that he's guilty until he's proven guilty and all of this. I disagree. The whole point of what I said yesterday about stripping him from his colonel's title at the Grenadier Guards and also removing him from any kind of royal connections whatsoever is because he has now been shown to have been the personal friend of a convicted paedophile, Mr. Epstein, and a personal friend of now a convicted sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell. That's good enough for me to have him stripped of all of that.
Yes, and if he's telling the truth, he says he definitely is not guilty of raping Virginia Roberts in New York, and I believe in London, and possibly on the Dominican Republic island that Epstein owned as well. If he says he's not guilty of that, he says he absolutely is innocent. He said that all along. What's he so afraid of?
Right.
Why is he using legal maneuvers not to appear in court? Surely he'd be keen to clear his name. And that's the other problem with the deal that was made with Epstein. If Andrew wriggles out of this on the basis of the Epstein-Giuffre deal, it means he concedes he's a potential defendant. He's never conceded that before. So he becomes a person who admits he possibly should have been a defendant in the case brought by Virginia Giuffre, which brings his name into yet more odium. This guy's not only bringing himself down, he's bringing the royal family down. Now, if this case goes ahead, and don't forget it's a civil case, but if in effect he's found guilty of these crimes, these sex crimes, then I think it's quite right that the royal family and the British establishment should consider not only stripping this man of his regimental colonel titles, but also of his royal title.
I don't think it's any question.
Mr. Andrew York.